Listen closely, because the next few seconds might sting. Not because I want to hurt you, but because no one ever told you the truth. You've been doing things for women that you thought were acts of love, when in reality, they were the reason she stopped respecting you. Every man has that moment, the moment he realizes he gave too much to someone who wasn't giving anything back. And the moment you see it, it hits you like a punch to the chest. Suddenly you're replaying every text you initiated, every favor you offered, every time you showed up, uninvited, unneeded, and unappreciated. And that's when the truth starts whispering in your ear. Did she ever value any of it? What I'm going to tell you today isn't about being cold or distant or manipulative. It's about reclaiming the self-respect you've slowly traded away, piece by piece, without even noticing. Because a man doesn't lose dignity all at once. He loses it in small behaviors he thinks are harmless. Little things that seem romantic, but actually make him invisible. Invisible to a woman's desire, invisible to her attraction, invisible to her respect. And here's the uncomfortable part. Women don't tell you when you're doing these things wrong. They just feel it. They feel the imbalance, the pressure, the neediness. And the moment they feel it, the attraction breaks. Quietly, silently, permanently. But I'm going to tell you what they won't. Because once you understand the 5 things you should never do for a woman, you'll feel something shift inside you. A calmness, a power, a sense of control you forgot you had. You'll stop chasing. You'll stop overgiving. You'll stop bending yourself into shapes no man should bend into. You'll start showing up like the kind of man she actually respects. A grounded man, a man with boundaries, a man who gives, but never at the cost of his own value. So before we go deeper, I want you to breathe and be brutally honest with yourself. Have you ever done things for a woman, not because you wanted to, but because you were afraid of losing her? Hold that answer in your mind. By the end of this video, it's going to make perfect sense. There's a reason I'm telling you all this, and it starts with the first thing you must never do for a woman. Never sacrifice your self-respect just to keep her close. Most men don't even realize they're doing it. It starts with one small compromise, then another, until suddenly you're agreeing to things you don't like, tolerating things that make you uncomfortable, and pretending you're okay just to avoid upsetting her. But here's the truth women will never say out loud. When you give up your self-respect for her, she stops seeing you as a man she can look up to. She feels the shift even before you do. She can sense when a man softens his spine, hides his voice, or suppresses his standards. And the moment she feels that, she loses trust. Not trust in your loyalty, but trust in your strength. Women don't fall for men who bend for approval. They fall for men who stand firm in who they are. A man with boundaries, a man with a backbone, a man who can look at a situation and say, "This is who I am, and I'm not changing my values to be liked." But a lot of men, maybe even you, have been conditioned to think that being agreeable makes you more lovable. It doesn't. It makes you forgettable, replaceable, predictable, and predictability kills attraction. Let me tell you something most men never hear. A woman feels safest with a man who can say no, not because he's controlling, but because he's grounded, because he's not afraid to disappoint someone to stay true to himself, because he doesn't negotiate with his dignity. Think about the times you said yes when everything inside you screamed no, when you swallowed your truth to avoid conflict, when you smiled while a part of you broke just a little. Those aren't harmless moments. They are tiny cracks in the foundation of your masculinity, and every crack changes how she sees you. If you want a woman to admire you, you must protect your self-respect with the same intensity you protect your heart. Because the moment she senses that you don't value yourself, she won't value you either. And here's the real shock. A woman respects a man with boundaries, even when those boundaries inconvenience her. There's another thing you must never do for a woman, and it's something almost every man has been guilty of at least once. Never prioritize her life over your own mission. Because the moment you do that, you lose the very thing that made her attracted to you in the first place. Women are drawn to purpose-driven men, men who have direction, ambition, momentum. A man on a mission radiates something primal. He moves differently. He thinks differently. He feels like a man who can lead himself and therefore lead a relationship. But the second you place her above your purpose, you unintentionally make her your mission. And no woman wants to be the center of a man's world. She wants to orbit a man who has a world of his own. Here's a truth most men never learn. Women don't fall for men who chase them. They fall for men who chase something bigger. Ask yourself this. Have you ever slowed down your goals just to spend more time with her? Turned down opportunities because she wanted more attention? Put your dreams on pause, thinking she would appreciate the gesture? If you have, then you've felt what comes next. Her interest starts fading. Her tone changes. Her texts get shorter. Her energy pulls away, and you can't understand why. It's because she didn't fall for the soft version of you. She fell for the man with fire, the man who had something to prove, the man who was climbing somewhere higher. When you abandon that climb, you abandon the part of you she admired most. A woman admires a man more when she sees him committed to improving his life. She feels more attracted when she sees him working, striving, building. She feels safer when she knows he is capable of creating a future, not just for himself, but one she might be a part of. But most men mistake attention for affection and availability for loyalty. They think giving up their mission shows love, but to her, it shows weakness. Here's the paradox. The more you revolve around her, the more she drifts away. But the more you revolve around your purpose, the more she feels pulled toward you. Every woman wants a man who can love her deeply, but she also wants a man whose life doesn't collapse without her. She wants to feel chosen, not needed for survival. She wants to feel valued, not worshipped like an oxygen tank. If you really want a woman to stay, if you want her to admire you, respect you, and desire you, then protect your mission the same way you protect your heart. A man with purpose is magnetic. A man without purpose is a shadow. And the hardest truth, when you lose your mission, you don't just lose her. You lose yourself. Another thing you must never do for a woman is this. Never let her disrespect your boundaries, no matter how much you care about her. Because the moment you allow it once, she will subconsciously test again and again, until she no longer sees you as the man she can trust or admire. Men think boundaries are about control, but boundaries aren't about control, they're about self-respect. A woman doesn't lose interest because you're too strict. She loses interest because you're too easy to walk over. Women notice everything. How you respond when she cancels last minute, how you react when she raises her voice, how you handle it when she flirts for attention, and how quickly you forgive disrespect without any change. Every time you ignore these moments, you teach her one thing: I don't value myself. And listen. No woman can respect a man who doesn't respect his own standards. When a woman pushes your limits, she's not always trying to hurt you. Sometimes she's trying to understand you. She wants to know where your line is. She wants to know if you're the type of man who stands strong or collapses under emotion. She wants to know if you can hold your ground, because deep down, that's what makes her feel emotionally safe with you. But when you fold, when you tolerate what you shouldn't, when you keep quiet to keep the peace, you don't create peace. You create disappointment. A woman feels most attracted to a man whose boundaries are clear, calm, and consistent. Not aggressive, not dramatic, just solid. A man who says what he means and means what he says. Understand this deeply. Your boundaries are not negotiable. They are the filter through which your future is decided. If she talks to you with disrespect, you don't match her energy. You remove yourself calmly. If she plays games, you don't chase. You detach. If she pushes a limit that matters to you, you don't argue. You state the boundary once and let your actions show the rest. A high-value man never begs for respect. His behavior demands it. And here's the twist women won't admit out loud. She's more attracted to you when she knows you won't tolerate her worst behavior, because that's when she realizes you're a man who can lead, protect, and guide, not just love. The more you revolve around her, the more she drifts away. But the more you revolve around your purpose, the more she feels pulled toward you. Every woman wants a man who can love her deeply. But she also wants a man whose life doesn't collapse without her. She wants to feel chosen, not needed for survival. She wants to feel valued, not worshipped like an oxygen tank. If you really want a woman to stay, if you want her to admire you, respect you, and desire you, then protect your mission the same way you protect your heart. A man with purpose is magnetic. A A man without purpose is a shadow. And the hardest truth, when you lose your mission, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself. Another thing you must never do for a woman is this: never sacrifice your mission, your purpose, or your long-term goals just to keep her. Because the moment you put her above the man you're becoming, you lose the very thing that made her attracted to you in the first place. It sounds romantic to say, "I'd give up everything for you," but in reality, that destroys the relationship. A woman doesn't want a man who abandons his path. She wants a man who walks it with conviction, a man she can look at and say, he knows who he is, he knows where he's going. When you drop your hobbies, lose your discipline, stop improving, or pause your dreams just to make her feel comfortable, something breaks. Your fire dims, your drive weakens, your identity dissolves, and the version of you she fell for slowly disappears. Women don't fall in love with a man who is available 24/7. They fall in love with a man who has a life that demands respect, a vision that inspires trust, and a backbone that doesn't bend for approval. Your mission is not a distraction from love. It is the foundation that makes love possible. You are not meant to orbit around her. You're meant to move forward, and she chooses to walk beside you. The man who loses his purpose to keep a woman eventually loses both. Because you cannot lead when you've abandoned the direction. You cannot inspire when you've silenced your calling. And you cannot be respected when you've placed yourself second in your own life. A woman may say she wants all your time, all your attention, all your world. But what she truly wants, deep down, is a man she can rely on. A man who provides stability, clarity, and direction. A man who has the discipline to say no to distractions and yes to growth. The truth is simple: your purpose must come first. Not to diminish her value, but to elevate yours. So you can build a relationship that's driven by strength, not dependence. You are at your most attractive when you are improving, when you are focused, when you are building a life with momentum. That is when she looks at you with admiration instead of entitlement, with respect instead of boredom, with desire instead of doubt. A real man doesn't choose between love and purpose. He chooses purpose first, because that's what makes love thrive. There is one final thing you must never do for a woman, and it's the one that destroys more men than anything else. Never let her emotional storms dictate your identity. Because the moment you allow her moods, her doubts, her frustrations, or her insecurities to rewrite who you are, you stop being a man and start becoming a reaction. A woman doesn't want a man who collapses when she's upset. She doesn't want a man who panics when she pulls away. She doesn't want a man who changes his tone, his values, or his decisions just to avoid conflict. She wants a man who can stand calm in chaos, a man who can listen without losing himself, a man whose emotional center doesn't vanish the moment she feels overwhelmed. Too many men think fixing everything is love. They think absorbing all her stress makes them strong. They think constantly reassuring her makes them loyal. But what it truly makes them is predictable, replaceable, and emotionally drained. A woman doesn't fall for the man who bends over backwards to stop her from ever feeling sad. She falls for the man who can hold space, the man who can stay grounded while she navigates her emotions, not controlling them, not absorbing them, but being steady while she moves through them. When you lose your center, she loses trust in you. When you lose your balance, she loses attraction. When you lose your emotional leadership, she loses respect. A man must be able to stay rooted, not cold, rooted, not distant, grounded, not emotionless, stable. It's your steadiness that allows her to feel safe. It's your clarity that allows her to soften. It's your inner strength that allows her to surrender her fears. This doesn't mean ignoring her emotions. It means not letting them rewrite your identity. You are the anchor, not the wave. You are the mountain, not the wind. You are the direction, not the confusion. And when you embody that, she doesn't just want you, she chooses you, she trusts you. She follows you because you are a man who cannot be shaken by temporary storms. Now let me ask you one personal question. Have you ever lost yourself trying to keep a woman? Tell me in the comments. And if this message hit you deeply, like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who who needs to hear it today.